Well, welcome back to the A Plus U podcast brought to you by Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union. We are on part 2 of our financial education episodes. We still have Anthony in studio.
Hello?
Or Tony. We kind of switch back and forth.
It's okay.
It is fine.
He said so.
He said so. We did get permission. Amber, you have a fun activity to start the second episode.
Well, I was just wondering if we could all share maybe a quick financial tip that maybe we use in our lives or have learned just with financial education being our topic and Financial Literacy Month. I think we all have little tips and tricks in our sleeves. So I don't know. Who wants to go first?
I'll go. I would say pay yourself first. So when your paycheck hits your account, if it's all going into one account, I guess, put money in your savings first. Pay yourself first before you pay anything else, just to make sure that you're following through on savings goals.
Ooh, I like that. Is there a particular amount you should save?
Anything is okay. That's where the budget comes into place. I will say it again, but don't worry about the amount. Just put something in there.
Okay.
That's a good idea. Danielle?
So I would say it's along the same lines of the pay yourself first, but if you can, start saving for retirement long before you think you need to. It just makes it easier as you get older. And because when you're 21, you're not thinking about retirement. But as you get older, you're like, oh, I don't want to work forever. I would like to retire someday. And the earlier you start saving, the earlier I think it just, or the earlier you start saving, the less stress I think it is in the long run.
Well, and I think take advantage of like work plans too. Like if you're able to do something in that, something is better than nothing. I think it aligns with yours, Tony, too, of pay yourself first, but also if there's a job that you may have that contributes to your retirement, however large or small it may be, take advantage of it because 100%. It will add up in the long run.
Amber, it's your turn.
My tip? I learned this actually from a member when I started at Affinity Plus, and it was to name accounts what you want to spend your money on. So I have like 8 different savings accounts, which is a huge benefit to me, but I name it. So every time I get paid, money goes into those accounts and money goes out of those accounts, and I don't have to think about it. My account for mortgage, the money just goes in and then the mortgage is paid, and it's like magic. And I don't have to feel it in my checking account every time I get paid. It's like, it's gone. And I don't have to think about it.
Love it. That I would tie that in with mine. If you set up your paycheck to disperse into the savings, then you really don't even have to think about it.
That's
because
right.
If it goes into the checking account, I think we often give ourselves the green light to spend it. And if your goal is to save, just if you can work with your employer to have a portion of your check go in there. I love that. That's fantastic.
And that goes into my tip.
It does.
And we keep going.
And we keep going round and round. But truly, I mean, like my money goes into retirement accounts. Like I don't even see it. So like, you know, if someone gets paid $5,000 a paycheck, you know, but you only see 3,000 of that because, you know, whatever the math ends up being into other accounts or whatever, like it just doesn't exist to you.
Yeah,
exactly.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Isn't that the truth?
Yes.
Well, we did touch on this just a little bit in the first episode, but I thought we could kind of expand on it in this one. Tony, can you tell us a little bit about kind of debt payoff strategies as we're thinking about, you know, all the different kinds of debt? There are a couple specific strategies that you had mentioned in the first one, and I just thought maybe you could tell us a little bit more.
Yeah. So debt strategy is kind of the bulk of what a lot of the stuff we do, because a lot of the hardships, if that's what it is, or just budgeting stuff, will be centered kind of around the debts, because oftentimes those are going to be roadblocks for our members or for us to reach our goals that we have set. So there's generally like 2 schools of thought for how you can approach debt. You have your Snowball method or your Avalanche. And I think they're coincidentally just titled with snow themes there, but generally
because we're in Minnesota.
I know, because
probably.
we live where we live.
Though I don't have the evidence to say they were developed in Minnesota.
I don't
but
think they were,
anyway,
but that's okay.
Snowball would generally take, if you laid out all of your obligations, you would take your smallest balance, whatever that overall balance is on the loan, and you would aim to pay that off first. So when you're developing your budget and you say, hey, I have allocated this much money to pay towards my debts, You'll pay minimum essentially on all of your loans or all of your debts, with the exception of that specific loan, the lowest balance, and any extra funds that you have budgeted for debt payment would go towards that. And then when that payment is completely wiped off, that payment that you've been paying to it will then snowball to the next lowest balance. It's the most common one that I use for members. The Avalanche method is similar kind of strategy, except rather than prioritizing your smallest balance, you're going to prioritize highest interest rate. Now, this is an okay strategy, but oftentimes for us, it's not something that's viable because usually we have a cash flow issue. And generally the Avalanche method, it's for someone that's so focused on what they're paying in overall interest. So it doesn't necessarily mean you're paying less per month or anything, but you're trying to target the highest interest debt just to avoid the overall interest that you're paying. So both will work fine. You're paying off debt. You're generally going to be on a more aggressive path with both, but you'll have to kind of review budget and see what one makes the most sense for you. I think oftentimes with the credit cards and stuff, it is when we have so many different payments, it's easy to see a 24% interest rate and say, well, I got to get this paid off. But if that's the highest paid balance, when you look at your statement, you see how much of your payment's going towards interest. Unless you can chunk that pretty aggressively, you're going to still be paying on that for probably several years. So if cash flow is an issue, generally the Snowball method is going to be the best route to go. But this would be, again, something that we would work with the member. What's your values? What's your goals? What are we trying to accomplish? What does our budget look like? I personally use a Snowball for anything. I mean, you could, even for student loans is what I actually used it for last, because it's kind of the only other thing I had aside from the mortgage. But all these student loans have different rates and stuff. So if I can try to pay different amounts to the higher interest ones or the lowest balance, get those paid, that's what I've been doing. It's a tool that I use religiously with my members, even if they're not a coaching client. If it's someone that I'm working with on an auto loan and I see opportunity for them, maybe they have a few credit cards, and I kind of ask like, hey, how do you generally pay on these? And most common, you'll say, I usually throw $100 or $200 at it. There's no like concrete plan. And that's what we see so often. We're just throwing random numbers and hoping it works. I'll usually type in all these debts real quick while they're not even really paying attention to what I'm doing. I'll throw, 24% interest rates on those, and then I'll just show them kind of a plan that they could utilize to pay those even more efficiently. And usually when that happens, you'll see like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize we're going to pay that much in interest. I didn't realize I could be debt free that quickly if I just applied a little bit of strategy to it. So great tools to work with. Just definitely would come down to what you're prioritizing and what you can feasibly afford to pay towards those loans. So.
Well, and I think you just covered it again, and that's like the resounding theme. Like knowledge is power. Without the knowledge, how would anyone know that?
Yeah.
And even just knowing that there's different strategies to pay down certain obligations that you have, like how would you know unless someone helped or told you?
Yeah, agreed. What ends up happening, as we know, let's say you have 3 credit cards and you have high interest rates on all of them. You're paying, the minimum might be $50, you pay $100, but you get discouraged because out of that 100, 60 goes to the interest and only 40 goes to the balance, right? We're throwing all this money at these cards, the balance isn't going down. Internally, we feel discouraged because it's like, I'm paying extra, I'm doing what I feel like I'm supposed to be doing. The minimum's only $45 or $50. Like, I'm paying double, not understanding kind of how those credit cards and how the interest is calculated and how it accrues. So just oftentimes we're not even adjusting how much they're paying. It's just strategizing and prioritizing specific payment methods. So same dollar in, dollar out for the member, but we're actually making progress on these loans. So it's a cool moment when you see it click and they're like, oh my gosh, because then generally what happens, they see progress and then they want to get more aggressive with it. So it's so fun, and I love using that. I have it almost every day pulled up on my computer. So.
Well, yeah, you kind of get to see like the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Like it feels good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I know. I'm just thinking about how every day your job is so rewarding.
It is. I love it. So every day is different. And you meet so many cool people, and we're helping them with something that's so important with their lives. So I take a lot of pride in it.
Well, that's a great segue. Thank you so much. Thinking about like our members' lives and the vast, I would say range of members that we have members that are children, and we have members who are retired, and everybody else in between. So thinking through kind of like life stages, how do we support or how would you support a member kind of working through like different life stages and their like financial health? So
one of the first things we'll often do, again, we talked about values. I'm sorry to keep repeating myself, But along with that, what are our goals? And we will create new goals, obviously, for their financial picture. But I like to ask that just on a personal level. Like, do you want to have children? Do you want to be a homeowner? Do you plan on living where you live now? Or do you want to move somewhere? Or what do you want to do for work? Do you want to go get more education, potentially go to college or go to grad school, whatever that might be? And then talk about kind of what their plan is currently with how they're going to get to that point. And then fill in the gaps, because you might have a member sometimes that's just dialed in. They have the plan already in place. And then there might be opportunity for us to kind of fine tune that. And those are always great, because maybe their plan is solid, but there's just a little bit of opportunity, things that we can tweak that'll get the plan just more efficient. And other times you'll have the member, you ask them these questions, and it's kind of a thought-provoking question, because they're like, I guess I haven't thought about that yet. So we think of something like fresh out of high school, maybe that individual is going to college, right? How are they paying for that is a great question to ask, because it's one that it was just go get student loans. That's what it was. Nowadays, I think the newer generation is so much more cognizant of that. There, you hear about it all the time in the news and media about student loans and things. But I think the kids going into college now are just way more aware of that than my generation and previous ones were. But what are your plans after school? You and your partner, do you plan on living together? Do you plan on buying a house? Do you know what that would entail? Do you know what you might need to have? Family planning. I mean, I got to learn this over the last few years. It's very rewarding. It's the best gift I've ever had. It's also very financially taxing, because now instead of just myself and my wife, I have 2 other dependents, right? And they are expensive.
They are so expensive.
Not only bringing them into this world, but also just letting them grow up. And my values obviously changed, I think, like most, when they become parents. So I used to just have things about me and my wife, and now it's just about the kids. So my financial plan, if you compared it from 4 years ago, it's totally different now, because the values have slightly changed, because now my priority is the children and security for them. But I think for everyone going through that, everyone's going to go through these stages at different times, and you have to be okay with that. I think we get too in this linear track where if you don't do this, but it goes A, B, C, go off the beaten path, do what you want to do, but you need to have a plan for that. So again, budgeting, savings, all of these things are going to be involved in all of those decisions. And the worst thing is when we have people that are motivated, they want to be a homeowner, and they come in and they don't understand like credit and how important that is right now in America when you buy a house, and how much you need that. That's kind of the one thing that you can't really have a lot of wiggle room with. And working with those members, and it's not that I'm bringing bad news to them. You want to be yes men and tell them, hey, we're good to go on this. But sometimes you do have to have those tough conversations of being like, hey, I don't know if we're there yet, but this is how we can be there. So those are tough conversations. Those are tough realizations for a lot of people when they go through them. But the plan and what our goals are at Affinity Plus is, okay, it might be a no today, but how do we get it to be a yes in the future? And that's where we tie all this back together. And that goes for anyone, any age, whatever their plan is. But I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, absolutely. I love your comment about things not being on this linear track, and how we're all kind of in a different place and a different time, and how everybody is so unique in their own financial journey. And there's so much uniqueness in it. And you were talking about coupling, like my brain is like rapid firing, but it's just so different for everybody, and that's okay. Like my husband and I, like we share a bank account, and that's just how we decided to do our finances. And I have friends who she's like, I would never share a bank account with my husband.
Always a fun one.
Yeah. But they work. I mean, they've been married forever, and they can make it work, So it's just so, I don't think people realize how personalized and how different it is for everybody. Like it's such a personal choice. I mean, it's like, I don't know. It's so personal. And I think a lot of people think it's so not.
Mm-hmm. It's like buying a pair of pants, because every time you go to buy a pair of pants, find something you like and you find something you don't. And then you wish you had something a little bit different on this one pair of pants that they don't have. And it's not one size fits all.
It's not at all, no matter what they tell you.
And we're always comparing, like, again, we live in an age where everything's at our fingertips. We're always comparing our situation to what we see, social media, TV, all those things. Whether we know it or not, we're always kind of doing that. There is no right or wrong answer, by the way, of if you or your spouse should share a joint bank account.
There's not.
Just so you know.
No.
That's a fun one that always gets brought up. But yeah, I think you're spot on. I hate when members come in and they're discouraged and they're anxious to open up, because we do have to get information so that we can help them to the best of our abilities. And because of so many other things out there, they're embarrassed or they're anxious or they're discouraged because they believe in their mind that they're doing it wrong, and they don't want to admit that. They don't want to acknowledge that they might be wrong. But oftentimes you just got to tell them, like, you're not doing anything wrong. Your situation is vastly different than the rest. My, again, values, my budget, everything about my finances is going to be different than every other person's. So it's just, I don't like to use blanket generalizations for anything, because we're all individuals, we're all different. So we have to recognize that, and that's not going to change, especially not with our finances. So even if you're a parent and I'm a parent, we all know that it's totally different. It's going to look different on us, and that's okay.
It's like your house. Everyone's house is a little bit different.
Everyone's
Amber.
house. Let's build our house again.
Mine has a road running right through it, so apparently my house isn't not going to look the greatest. But
in the house reference, remember from episode 1, we're talking about all of the things that go into financial knowledge and things to be aware of. But also, I think even if you don't have children, I think that's important to acknowledge too, is your budget is going to look different. Your path is going to look different. How you spend your funds is going to look different. And just how you do things will be different. And that's okay too. Yeah. Because there's no wrong answer, is what I'm gathering from what you're saying.
It's the way it should be. The way, I mean, it's the fact of how it actually is. So yeah, people get so discouraged and upset when we compare. It's easy to do that, but your story should be different than everyone else's. And that's what makes it your story. So
Absolutely.
So with the house reference, where are we at now? Have we built this house yet?
Yeah, my house, it was like I got Jumanji and I rolled and now the house is gone. I got off to the bad foot with that one, but I think we left off on the roof that I decided, I should say. I'm not going to throw you guys under the bus.
You built this house.
Yeah, I'm kind of rethinking how I have it layered, because I like that as the walls, because we didn't talk about, I think where we left off was investment, retirement, etc. So like future planning, which I think would be probably better suited as the roof. But again, I will see.
Is it the roof or is that the road? Who knows? Because every picture is different, Tony.
I'm going to sit this one out. I don't.
No, you can't. You're still building me a house.
That's fair. I know.
How's it look?
I'm worried how it's looking. To me, it looks beautiful and it's the right house. But again, my house
is individualization.
Yes.
I just unintentionally did that. So I won't take credit for it.
All right. So Tony, I know we built this house. Yours looks different than mine. And like I say, investments and retirement is like the road, because it's outside of like my immediate needs right now, like my savings, my debt management, my budget.
Ooh,
so
I like that.
It's pretty cool, because I'm building this house and it's all different.
I love it.
So like, how does that play into like the financial picture? Like if you're thinking about financial literacy month, like what role does investments and retirement play in that?
It's all about just planning for your future. You're saving for your future. Whether that's tomorrow, a year from now, 5 years, 20, whatever. We're putting something away so that we have something to come to when that time comes. I think I love with the synergy we have with the investment center as our financial coaches. A lot of referrals that we send that way. They're great professionals. So definitely, if you need to review that or discuss that, have that conversation. But just, it's about planning all the possible outcomes of something, getting yourself so that when you get to retirement or whatever age you're going to call it quits from the work life today, you get to enjoy and live the life that you wanted to. So.
And you would say any of those resources, well, you just did. Our investment center at Affinity Plus is a resource. There could be other resources out there too, but I mean, that's something that's outside the scope of the coaches in particular.
Yep.
So thank you for building this lovely house with me, Tony. I'm glad mine looks different, because I really want a reading nook. So I'm going to figure out how that plays into my financial picture, but I'm going to make one, and that's that. So.
Ooh, now I'm...
I know. I'm just going to go put pen to paper after this and draw out how I feel my finances should look in terms of a home. I don't know. Going to be a future architect.
I think it's a great visual.
Yeah.
And I like the analogy of, we talked about foundations and roofs and stuff like that, but that's kind of something that everyone can relate to in some type of structure.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think so.
Okay, so we started the episode with a little bit of fun, and I think we should end the episode with a little bit of fun. So we're going to play a little game.
I like games.
Me too.
Tony, do you like games?
Are we eating the cake or what are we doing?
Oh, well, that's coming.
Okay.
Don't worry.
I'm kidding.
No, you're not.
It's all I've been thinking about. So.
Okay, so we're going to do rapid. Have you ever seen Friends? Like rapid fire questions.
I love Friends, yes.
And if you lose,
Is this the lightning round?
this is the
Friends?
lightning
Okay.
round.
Yes.
Yeah, you're going to lose the apartment if you lose
Yeah.
the lightning round.
Deal.
All right. Okay.
I'm good with it.
Okay. Ooh, these are going to be hard based on our conversation today, but you just got to go. Should I pay off debt first or save for retirement?
So pay off debt or save for retirement. I would ideally do both at the exact same time. I think generally as a more blanket, I would say pay off the debt, specifically higher interest debt. So obviously your mortgage, likely you're not going to be trying to pay that off before contributing to retirement, low interest car loans, etc. If you can do both at the same time, I would do that. Otherwise, pay as much as you can towards any credit card or high interest debt, get that paid off, and then do your retirement.
Okay. How do I start saving if I don't have a lot of money?
I would say if you're an Affinity Plus member, you should utilize our Stash Your Cash feature, which links your checking account to your savings and will deposit the difference from all of your transactions with your debit card into your savings account each day. So if you spend $5.50 getting gas, that 50 cents will be rounded up to $6 deposited into your savings. So it's a way to save without actually consciously thinking about it. From a base level, I would say don't be so worried about the specific dollar amount you're saving. Even if it's $1 a day or $1 a month, start somewhere and build from there.
All right. Do you have one?
Well, I was just going to say, if you could give yourself, your younger self, a money tip, what would it be outside of 18 and not taking out a credit card? Can't use that one again.
I'm okay with it. I never missed a payment, so I got credit age from it. But no, I think just thinking about being cognizant of the future, like not living so much in the present. I think I have to having more balance with that because I could have done a lot more for future self at the early age, but that would have been the one thing I think I would have put a little more focus on.
What's one financial habit everyone should adopt right now?
Budget right now. But no, seriously, realistically, it is the foundation. I've said it 100 times, but it's that important. It's that valuable. Go online, type in budget worksheet. You can print or find something for free and just start filling it out. It doesn't need to be perfect. It's never going to be completed. It's always going to be a adjusting, revised document, but you need to start somewhere. It's the core of everything we do financially. We need to know where every dollar is going. So budgeting, and then like I just stated, every dollar that we spend, let's have intention behind it. If we're saving it, if we're investing it, if we're spending it, we have intention so that we have empowerment with our finances. That would be the biggest tip I could offer.
Well, I can't think of a better way to end this.
Well, and I love that you said empowerment too, because I think that's the other thing is finances are emotional, but also once you understand your own finances of what's coming in and what needs to go out each month, you feel empowered to make decisions that are right for yourself, your family, and like future self as well. Because I think about it as like we just talked about your younger self and your current self. Like you have to kind of look at those stages of life and be able to balance it out. And it is really empowering once you get down to the nitty gritty of it and looking at a full budget.
Yeah.
And budget's not a scary word.
It isn't.
That's the other thing.
No.
Not at all.
It was at one time, but it's okay. Setting the budget and being disciplined, I think, is the scary part.
It is. It's daunting, but
yes.
I mean, just like you said, I mean, you feel empowered once it's all set and you are able to kind of reap the rewards of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, Tony, thanks for making the drive down from Bemidji.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. This was fun.
I repped my Bemidji today.
And I did not, so I'm sorry. But I should have worn my green and white Beavers jersey, so I apologize. But love to Bemidji branch. No, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
It was so fun, and you're welcome back anytime you want to come hang out with me and Amber.
I probably won't bring cake next time just because, but I'll
ice cream.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We accept ice cream.
Treats with Tony.
Yeah.
Deal. Oh, gosh.
New segment, treats with Tony.
No, I think no more treats. I think I can't be that guy. I don't think so.
Well, thank you so much for listening today. And hopefully you listened. If you didn't catch episode 1 of our financial education episodes, please go back and listen to episode 1. And don't forget to come back next time for the next episode of A Plus U. Affinity Plus is federally insured by the NCUA.